Hello and welcome to Amplify. Welcome to a Q&A with director Amjad Abu Allah. My name is Jenny. I'm one of the trustees of the Cambridge Film Festival, and Amplify is an online film festival brought to you by the teams behind the Bath, Brighton, Cine City, Cambridge and Cornwall Film Festivals. I'm going to be asking Amjad a few questions, and then if you'd like to be posting your questions throughout, we'll get to them at the end of the conversation, so please type them in this chat or tweet at Amplify Film, and then I can ask the questions. So Amjad, are you there? I can't see you at the moment.
Hello, Jenny.
Oh,
I can
hello,
see you.
now.
How are you doing?
How are you?
I'm good.
Well, good,
good.
Lovely. So let's talk. You Will Die at 20, your directorial feature debut, winner at Venice of Lion of the Future. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I have lots to ask you. To start off, so the film is based on a book by a Sudanese writer and activist, Hamou Ziada. Can you tell me what it is about the story that was very significant to you, that made you think, I want to turn this into a film?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you guys for insisting on doing film festivals during all this crazy days that we have. And this is really important to keep films going on and keep films part of this 2020, you know. And I have a problem with the 20 because my film is You Will Die at 20. So,
of course.
I mean, I feel responsible for the universe now, you know.
We're not blaming you, don't worry.
Yeah. So yeah, the film story started with me reading the short story by Hamou Ziada in a moment that when I was like traveling from Dubai to Khartoum to do the funeral of my grandmother that she raised me. So maybe I was in the middle of that sadness, that grieving, you know, and I just found that short story talking about how Sudanese people grieving and how they deal with death and losing and with very special way. So I just felt it. I just felt like, you know what, if I want to do like my first feature film in Sudan, maybe this is the one. And I started. I contacted Hammour and he loved the idea to give me this to start with. And I contacted my co-writer, Yusuf Ibrahim, and he fell in love with the story just as much as me. And yeah, and it just happened. We start working on it since 2016. And yeah, after reading and talking about what the possibility to do that, and that's how I choose the story.
And just for a bit of background about Sudanese cinema, is this the 7th feature film?
Yeah. 7, or you can say 8 because there is like a lost film somewhere in history. But yeah, so that's why we said always 7th or 8th film in the Sudan history. And actually, it's the first film from 20 years. Yeah, I mean, the last Sudanese feature film production, it was in 1987 or 89. Yeah. Sorry, 98. Yeah.
98. So for you, I mean, it's so significant for you and for younger generations as well, for the, you know, younger people watching a film that's come from Sudan.
Sure. You know, I mean, I just always glad when I'm traveling around the world in, you know, in Germany and Arab world and France, and I met like different generation watching the film, and like a Sudanese old man, he told me this is the first time he been to cinema for 30 years to watch a Sudanese film. And he came with his grandsons, which is they wanted to watch that film that won in Venice and then Sudanese. So I just felt like happy and proud and understanding all the suffering that we had 3 years making this film.
And I saw an interview with you where you talked about cinema being a mirror to society.
Right.
Are there any particular scenes or characters in this film that for you are reflecting your personal experience?
Well, you know, especially in the first feature films for the director, especially for young director. I'm not that young. I'm 37, but let's say, you know, yeah, it's always about reflecting yourself in different characters, not just one. For example, I can't say I lived how Muzammil lived, you know, the lead actor, the lead character, because I'm from family more open, more, you know, modern, more, you know, just not that conservative family at all. They were communist, my family and stuff, you know, so it's different. But at the same time, I can see myself in Muzammil, in how he fear from the water and from the Nile. I never swim. I never go to Niles. I never go to swimming pool even till now. I mean, well, I tried to kill that fear in the film, but I didn't try yet to swim. But it's in
Right.
my mind, you know. The moment when Muzammil he joined Suleiman and he watched films for the first time at the wall. This happened to me with my uncle when he came back from Saudi Arabia with a projector, cinema projector, and he couldn't play the sound. That's why all the films I haven't, you know, I didn't put the sound. And the sound designer, she was like, "Man, we have the sound of those films. It's Yusuf Shaheen films, and we have the sound. Why we didn't use?" I said, "You know what? I want to stuck to my little memory, you know." At the same time, we can say I can see something in Sakina. My mother and my aunts, they were very strong women, and I saw Sakina in them. I mean, strong thing. Sometimes it's positive, sometimes it's negative. You know, sometimes it's in a negative way, just like Sakina did. You know,
Mm.
And she's wearing black for her son the whole film. That's exactly what my mom and my aunts did when their sister, my aunt, she died. She died young, so they were very sad. Normally, Sudanese people wearing white for sadness. They wear black for 2 years.
Right.
So yeah, I mean that even it's not included in the Hamur Ziada's short story. This all reflecting my memories.
Right, I see.
Mhm.
Sakina is such a fascinating character because, as you
Yeah.
say, she is very strong, very dignified, but she accepts her son's fate and her fate. Um, she struck me, she was quite still and poised, apart from in the exorcism ritual, the ritual scene where she lets her hair down and she just feels quite free. Can you tell me a bit about that scene and what that scene, why it's significant within the film?
You mean the scene like Michelangelo one?
When
When
she travels to go with the other women to do that ritual.
yeah. That's called Zar. That's called the Zar. The Zar actually, this is very interesting because the Zar, it's um, it's a ceremony to kick the devils out of the bodies when they believe someone had a devil inside him and this devil is like destroying everything in his life. And they have categories for those kind of devils. I mean, there is like the Ethiopian one, the Iraqi one, the Algerian one, and so what the one I choose is the Turkish one. They called him the Khawaja or the foreigner. Okay, that's why they wear the Turkish hats, the red one. You know,
I see.
Sudan was occupied by by the Ottoman Empire before, so they have the heritage of looking for the Khawaja or the foreigner as the Turkish one. So they believed like what inside here is that one. Why? Because she believed like Suleiman, the old man, is the character that he's the foreigner one who destroying her son now. So, you know what I mean? Maybe I didn't say all that details. It's not that important in the film, but I like to tell it, you know, behind the scenes.
Yeah, no, that is really interesting. But for me, it was just sort of seeing her kind of let go and the movements of her body and just the dancing
Mm,
I mean, visually, the film has so many interesting scenes. Your use of color and light in certain scenes, light shining through into dark rooms. Can you tell us a bit about what you aimed to achieve with the use of color and light in the film?
Sure, that's very interesting. And first of all, I wanna salute my DOP, Sebastian Gopfert. Is awesome, and I was lucky to have him. He's young, he's 32, you know, and yeah, but he's so passionate. And also here a big salute for my production team. I mean, I'm very proud of them because most of the teams were like Lebanese or French or Egyptian, but the production team and the art production team, art department, I choose to be most of them Sudanese, not most of them, 99% Sudanese, without any experience of how to make dresses for cinema or to make decoration for cinema. They do it for commercial thing, but not for cinema. So to sit down for 6 months or more before shooting the film and just talking about what we want to do, I think what we wanted to do, and I was talking a bit with we more, is how to reflect the life and death of this village. The white and black with a touch of red. Always, all the film, all the scene had at least like a line of red or a cup of red or a thing with red and green sometimes, because red and green is for the Sufism of Sudanese people. So we wanted to say this village and this family, Sakina's family, are surrounded by death, life, and Sufism and religious, authorities.
Thank you. That's really interesting. And village that you filmed in, is it right that did your father grow up in that village?
Well, there are like 3 villages. I showed them. There are already 4 or 5 villages. My father grows up in one of them, but not the one I showed. But still, it's 5 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was memory going to my father's village when we were young, for funerals, for weddings. I was living in the city just next to them, just half an hour. So we were always there. So yeah, I wanted to take the film to my memories as much as I can, especially like I've been born and raised in Dubai, and I raised in Sudan just for 5 years. Well, all this film, the places, the location are my memories from that 5 years.
Right. And what were the villagers, were they curious when they saw the cameras, and what were their reactions to the film?
Yeah, I mean, the villagers there, they were very curious about what we are doing because they didn't used to see filming, so they were really curious about it. But sometimes they turn aggressive, just a little bit of them. I mean, like, let's say 5 people from one of the villages, and actually they stopped us filming in the middle of the shooting plan. I mean, after 2 weeks, we still have another 2 weeks to do. They stopped us, so we just stopped for 1 day, and we chose another village, and we had to create again 5 locations that we already built, and we have to recreate it in another village just to do that. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That must have been just really difficult to recreate that in different
places. In 4 days, we had no options. I mean, there is no even we don't have the privilege to stop and wait and build it again or to talk to them. The revolution was there. The airport was very difficult. The Islamic regime of Bashir was ruling, so in a very difficult way we got the visas for all the French and Egyptian and Lebanese. We can't do this again. We can't afford the hotels again, and so we had just to figure it out.
I see. Well, it sounds like you've got an attitude to make things happen and to find solutions. Can you tell about your journey, your filmmaking journey up to now.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's about the journey that I had. I mean, I started my first short film when I was 18 years old. And from that time, I never stopped doing films and theater. And both of them just required a producer. A producer who can manage, who can solve things. So I think doing 7 short films for me as a director and producer, and then another 7 or 8 films as a producer and another 2 feature films as assistant director. So I think that journey from 2001 till, till what, 2019. So I think that's what helped me when they told me, you know what, man, we just lost those locations. What you gonna do? Should we stop shooting? I was like, no, just continue, because I know how to figure it out. Actually, those location was like the mosque. We did it just in one day. We chose it in one day, and we painted in another day, and we decided the mosque, Naima's house, and the small Quran readings for Muzammil, yeah.
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 Wow. We've got a question from the audience that you've mentioned the film has some elements of your life experiences. Are any of the women in the film, the strong dynamic women in the film, and there are a few, are any of them in particular inspired by someone in particular in your life?
I think Naima, the girlfriend.
Yeah.
I think she's inspired by my cousin, but she's way older than me. I mean, I was like 10 years old, and she was 20. And I saw how she was brave, free at the village. And when I go back to the cities, that's weird in Sudan. In cities, I feel women are more close. And in the villages, when you go to the villages, it's just the opposite, from the rest of the countries. When you go to the villages, normally in Arab world, let's say, they are more conservative, right? But in Sudan, it's more like African thing. When you go to the village, girls and women are more free and more trusted themselves, and they are trusted by others also, for a limit, for a level, so still there is men still like, the men in the rest of the world, they need to take some lessons on how to deal with women. But but at least in my dad's village, I was noticing how those women were brave. So Naima, it was inspired from them. She's not in the short story. Even I called her Naima after my grandmother.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
But she is, as you say, she is so active and sort of positive, and the comparison between her and Muzammil, and because he is quite passive, isn't he? So they make an interesting pair, the two of them.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I chose Bunna, and I chose her by chance. I mean, it wasn't even a casting. She was working in the festival that I'm head of program, Sudan Independent Film Festival, and I heard her talking about how she want to change her name from something to Bunna, and how she been in the court, and the judge refused, the Islamic judge refused to give her the new name. So she went to another court and she sued the judge. So I said, you are my girl,
Yeah. So she was a first-time actress. She's a first-time.
She's a model. She's a professional model.
Right, yeah. I see.
Yeah.
And there were quite a few first-time actors in the film. What was it like then? Were there quite a few of the characters first-time acting in a film?
Yeah, sure, because having no cinema industry, no infrastructure of cinema in Sudan, by default you don't have cinema actors in Sudan. So I had to take years watching TV drama and watching theater to choose the professional ones. And I knew, like, when I come to do my first feature film, I will do casting, and I should be trusting them and trusting myself in teaching actors and directing actors, you know. So I had to, and I have an acting background myself, so it was easier to decide that. So Mustafa is first time actor, Bunna, the two Down syndrome. I mean, I enjoyed working with them, and I wanted the characters to be one of the special needs, if that's correct to say, but uh, because I believe they have talents and they can reflect it in art and cinema and it. And also, let's say Sakina, she's Islam Mubarak, she's a professional actress. She do theater and TV. And Mahmoud Sarraj is very like he's a superstar in Sudan of theater, and Mahmoud Sarraj the Suleiman is superstar there. So, but I worked more, I think, with the professional ones than the new faces, because I want to give them the cinema mood and my mood, not just what they used to do. So it was easier to tell it for the fresh ones.
I see that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
We've got another question from the audience about the dialogue and the script. Isn't much dialogue. A lot of the characters say so much with their eyes and with their expressions. Was that something that you had to work quite closely with the actors to get them to describe how they were feeling without using words?
That's exactly what I meant by directing actors in my way. I mean, in the cinema that I love, the cinema that I enjoyed. I mean, if you ask me who you love much in film directors, I mean, I love a lot. I love the styles of many directors, even if I will not try even to do the same mood. Like, let's say, Stanley Kubrick. I love him. I love his films, but I will never even try to do his style. The same for Christopher Nolan or Tarantino. I like all that killing and blood, but I don't like to do it. You know what I mean? So the ones that I really love, we can say Theo Angelopoulos from Greece, and I really love Kieślowski. I love Gmar Bergman and Tarkovsky for sure. So if you saw the link with all those, maybe you see the link in your Diet 20, the poetic, how to tell a story in a poetical way, how to say a poem when you're dealing with sound, with music, with actors, because the poem doesn't really need to say everything. So sometimes the eyes can just contact you, and the feeling, the press, and so yeah, I wanted to do that. Maybe best example for that in the film, when the father came back and the mother hugged him, and then she pushed him, and then Muzammil came and he slept on his chest, and then he left. Nothing said in that scene, I mean, as a words written, but just like working with actors about their feelings, I think.
Yeah, I found it really interesting what you said about the directors you've been particularly influenced by, because it's true you put in seven images or scenes that are references to some of your favorite. I could get the Cinema Paradiso one.
Did. I confess. I did with purpose, because I always, I've been working as a programmer for 7 years now, and sometimes when I see films and I talk to the director, oh my God, I love your film, and that scene remind me someone. He always got defensive, like, no, I'm not stealing. No, it's not about stealing. It's about reflecting your love for some kind of cinema by sometimes you can just write, even I did it for that. So I wanted to do that scenes, and I dedicated, in all the newspaper and like this Q&A for them, So you figure out maybe Cinema Paradiso, sure, for Giuseppe Tornatore. We can say also, I have to remember them all. We can say also, okay, the boat scenes, The boat scenes, it's more for two actually. For Theo Angelopolis in the Weeping Meadows. Okay, the boat scene is very beautiful shot scene, and also Amir Kusturica, who gave me already the award in Venice. He was the head of jury there, and Time of the Gypsies. But the most important one, maybe people in Europe, maybe they will not realize it very much because it's Arabic film for Shadi Abdessalam. He did it. It's called The Mummy. It was in 1996, and he did just one feature film and he died. And he was awesome art director and costume designer and director. And this is the scene when Muzammil goes in the alley, in the long alley, the big and this is very important scene or shot or the way in that the Mummy film, but just was for down because it's copying the Mummy, the Pharaoh's tombs. And here I wanted to say Muzammil is in the Pharaoh's tombs and how the Pharaohs were like they used to supervise their graves before they die with the architecture. So I felt like Sakina, she's at the architecture, and Muzammil is the one who will die one day and this is his tomb. So that's why I used it from Shadi. Also, I have Yusuf Shaheen by his film when they're talking about Hanouma, the sexy Egyptian actress. She was like Marilyn Monroe of Egypt, And also Jadallah Jubara, the Sudanese director, he have a scene for him. And that is very important, last one, I want to say it. During we are shooting, a day before, a very important and talented Egyptian director died. He died before we shot the death of Suleiman scene. So just 12 hours. So I had in my decoupage, I don't know how to say that in English, decoupage, yeah. My shooting list, I have Suleiman died at the bed. But when the Egyptian director Osama Fawzi died, and my first AD, he's supposed to finish with me and go back to Egypt to work with him as assistant director in his film. So he was very sad, crying, So I surprised him by doing it at the chair, copying one of his film called Jannat al-Shayateen, Heaven of the Devils. And the main character is dead all the film and the chair. That's why I did that. So I changed it in a few hours just because we were sad for Osama, and I want to say salute for his soul before he even buried. He was not buried even yet. Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive reaction, quick reaction.
Yeah.
Okay, we've got one more question from the audience, which is about religion and faith. Obviously, the prophecy has such a huge negative effect on Muzammil's life. Does the film have an anti-religious message, in your opinion?
Not really. I think most of every religious people in Sudan and most in Arab world, they agreed like Sufism had very positive side. First of all, when she really stand against the extremist side, of the Salafi, and also they have this positive side that I was celebrating in the film, the colors, the music. I mean, the music in on most of the Islamic part is haram, Sufism, they don't have problem with the music. They are fine with that. So in somehow I was celebrating Sufism. But sure, the film was criticizing in a very direct way, maybe, the part of Sufism when it's go very superstitious and extreme, using people, some sheikhs using people to get what they want. So it's being used in somehow. So I think the film was focusing in the beginning on that. Just on the beginning, by the way. And by the way, even in the beginning, when the dervish fall down and the sheikh said yes, he wasn't the first one to say. The women behind Sakina, they said, "Oh God, that is an omen." I mean, I wanted to point my finger also in the people. You are the one who give the power for them, you know. So no one is innocent here. So yeah. So I think it was balanced. If you really see it.
Yes. No, I think so many different
Mm.
characters represent different elements of
Yeah.
questioning religion or accepting everything that they are told to believe. It's
Yeah.
a beautiful film, and thank you for taking the time to speak to us
Thank
about.
you.
Congratulations. One more question: what are you working on next? Do you have a project or ideas for another
Well,
film?
Well, I used COVID-19 to figure out that. You know, I used the lockdown to figure out that. So what I'm sure of right now, I'm producing many films, and that will delay me a little as a director, sure. But I really wanted to do that because building an industry in Sudan that will not build when Amjad finishes film and do his next. You know, as a director, maybe I need to make many projects working at the same time. And now I started after I'm doing now Goodbye Julia. It's a Sudanese feature film fiction for the director, very talented director. His name is Muhammad Kordofani. And the film we just in Ilgona Cine platform. Cinegona platform. We won 5 awards, production awards. So it's very promising film. And yeah, I think we're gonna shoot, you know, after 1 year from today. And at the same time, I'm trying to push another feature film, but with many directors in Sudan. You know, like to participate in one film. Also some short films. And for me as a director, I think I was between 2 projects, and then I decided to do them both. You know.
That's the spirit.
You know,
that's the
yeah, you know,
attitude. Keep busy.
I discover like doing the fund system and going for a festival to borrow money here and borrow money here. It took like 2-3 years. So I said, you know what, I will work on both of them, and which one came first, I will do it since the other get the money, you know.
Excellent. Well, the best of luck with all of your many future projects, and you will
Thank
direct.
you.
What an achievement. So Amjad Abu Ala, thank you very much indeed. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks.